Hi guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Chloe, I'm a 25-year-old nurse and I'm basically here to talk to you about mental health. So from the age of about 7, I have suffered with mental health problems, sort of on and off. These spike at times and then I'll be okay for a little bit, but they've always been there in the background. So basically I suffer from generalised anxiety disorder, depression, OCD, and a condition called vaginismus, which is quite unheard of for some people. So some people don't know what this is. So basically over the next few weeks I plan to do mini series on each of these conditions to educate, because some people might have symptoms and not know what's going on and sort of not be speaking out to anyone, but also to raise awareness and encourage others to speak to each other and to build a community together. So I'm going to start the series off by talking about vaginismus. So those of you who have recently watched Sex Education, good show, you might have a vague idea what this is. If not, it's basically an automatic involuntary response of a fear to, well, a muscle response, should I say, to a fear of vaginal penetration. So what happens is the vaginal muscles clamp up on their own and you basically don't have any control over this. So it's the same as when someone goes towards your eye with their finger and you close your eyes. Same response down there basically. So the exact cause of it is unknown. It's very hard to pinpoint an exact cause. So I've had the condition for many years now. It's hard to sort of remember at what point it started. So at what point it went from normal pain that you get with losing your virginity to actual vaginismus. But I've had numerous rounds of sex therapy. I'm starting to notice more things that have obviously fed into this for me. But some of the causes are thought to be unhelpful beliefs around sex. So it depends how you're brought up, but your parents might have said to you sort of that sex is wrong or shameful. You might have these beliefs about yourself. You might be scared that your vagina is too small, that it sort of won't stretch to allow sex. It can also stem from physical conditions, so things that aggravate down there, so things like thrush, STI. So in those cases it would more likely be a temporary thing, so it can just come up out of the blue. It's just the importance of basically recognising this to get out of the cycle, but we will do more about that in the following episodes, if you like. Can also be in response to a bad first sexual experience. So if losing your virginity was very painful, then you get into this mindset that it is going to be painful every time. So for me, that was exactly the case. That's basically fed into it for me. So I lost my virginity to an older guy. I shouldn't have, because he was too old for me to lose my virginity to at the age of 15, but that's more his issue than mine. So in this situation, I'd met him elsewhere. I'd met him on a holiday. This will be discussed in the book. And basically, I'm writing a book. That just came out of nowhere. I expected you to know for some reason. But yes, I'm writing a book about these issues, but we'll talk about that later on. So he was going to come to my house and visit me, but he lived further away. And we basically talked about losing my virginity when he visited. And I basically said to him I wasn't sure if this is what I wanted to do, because I didn't feel fully ready. But he told me that sort of there was no point of him coming to see me if that wasn't going to happen. So because I liked him and because I wanted to see him and I was naive at this point, I said, yes, that's fine. So obviously the experience for me was quite painful because I wasn't ready, my body or my mind. So obviously I had bleeding after heard and felt a tear, which to this day, not sure if that's normal or what it is, but obviously that's pretty traumatic and going to stay in my mind for quite a while. It can also be caused by previous trauma, so things like rape, sexual abuse. So for me, it's only come to me recently that this may have happened to me. So I wasn't sure. When this occasion happened, basically, I was unclothed, so was the guy I'm talking about, but nothing like that was going on. Was in a relationship, and he was trying to do that, and I said no. But after saying no so many times, I gave in because he was sort of just trying to proceed anyway. It wasn't until recently, as I've got older, I've thought about this and looked into it a bit more, and apparently this is pretty common for quite a lot of people, and it is a form of coercion. So it is classed as non-consensual sex because I didn't consent at first. So although I ended up consenting, that was purely from the pressure of feeling like I had to, because I said no and it's like he wasn't listening. So this wasn't done in an aggressive manner, so it wasn't like the things that you read in magazines that you see on the TV. So for me, it's pretty hard to use the word rape. That is a strong word, and it almost didn't feel like that for me. It felt like calling it that would be an injustice to people who have been through rape in a more aggressive form, so by a stranger, things like that. But I've done work with a therapist recently, and basically she thinks that this could have fed into the issues around vaginismus, which are the physical and emotional issues around it, which I'm going to be speaking about soon. It can also be to do with almost like a fear of intimacy. So for me, I find it easier if I don't know the person that well or don't really care about them in that way, in the form of love or a relationship. So for me, when I'm in a relationship is when I have the most issues around sex, because it's this fear of intimacy, fear of letting yourself go completely, because this person's already seen every part of me near enough, but it's hard for me to let go of that side, because for me that is very private. There's probably many more things that can feed into this, but for me these are some of the main ones, and also some of the more general ones that are discussed sort of on your NHS websites and things. Basically, because sex is painful, you almost get into this cycle that makes it worse and worse. So obviously if it's painful one time, you're going to expect it to be painful the next time, so you get in a pain cycle with this, which is quite tricky to overcome. But I will be speaking about some of the treatments, tips of how I'm starting to overcome this. So I'm not fully healed from this, but I'm getting there, and everyone will get there in the end. Some people it just takes longer than others. But yeah, so basically next episode I'm going to be speaking about the symptoms, so the physical feelings and symptoms that come with this, and the emotional side of it, so some of the thoughts that you have after, some of the feelings that you experience after. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.